The galactic combat arena on Station Theta 9 hummed with the excited chatter of 1,000 species. Crystalline Vexori clicked their mandibles in anticipation, while the massive Krogan warriors stomped their feet, creating a rhythmic thunder that echoed through the viewing chambers. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Chen Wei, a human diplomat who had just made what many considered a fatal mistake. She had challenged Commander Thraxus, the undefeated champion of the Kaldrith Empire, to single combat. The Kaldrith were a warrior race that had conquered 12 star systems through sheer martial prowess. Their exoskeletons were naturally armored, their reflexes enhanced by generations of genetic optimization, and their combat training began before they could walk. Thraxus himself stood nearly 3 meters tall, his forearms each wielding a plasma-edged gladius that could slice through starship hull plating. Chen Wei stood before him in simple black combat attire, her only weapon a curved blade sheathed at her side, a primitive metal sword. Thraxus's translator rendered his guttural laugh into standard galactic. "Human, your species joined the Galactic Council only 30 cycles ago. You know nothing of true combat." The crowd erupted in laughter. A Vexori delegate whistled mockingly. "Perhaps she thinks it's ceremonial. Should we explain what weapons are?" Chen Wei remained still, her hand resting lightly on the katana's handle. Her face betrayed no emotion as the jeers continued to rain down. She had heard them all before. The dismissals, the condescension, the certainty that humanity was too young, too weak, too soft to stand among the galaxy's elite. The arena master, a floating cerebral named Quix, activated the combat field. A shimmering barrier rose around the fighting circle and the crowd fell into an expectant hush. This would be quick, brutal. A lesson for the upstart species that had dared to demand equal representation on the council. "You may surrender now," Thraxus offered, his translator dripping with false magnanimity. "I take no pleasure in destroying antiques." Chen Wei drew her blade. The ring of steel against wood was clear and pure in the sudden silence. The katana caught the arena's artificial light, its edge seeming to drink in the illumination. She settled into a stance that had been refined over 1,000 years on a distant blue planet, feet shoulder-width apart, blade held at mid-level, weight balanced perfectly. Thraxus charged. His 4 blades came from different angles simultaneously, a killing technique that had ended countless duels before they truly began. The plasma edges left trails of superheated air as they converged on the human's position. The first strike came. Chen Wei's body moved with a fluidity that seemed to defy biology. She stepped inside Thraxus's reach, her katana rising in a perfect arc. The ancient steel met the plasma gladius with a sound like thunder. Impossibly, the human blade didn't melt or shatter. Instead, it guided the alien weapon aside with minimal effort, redirecting its momentum using Thraxus's own force against him. The Kaldrith commander stumbled, just slightly, his compound eyes widening in surprise. The crowd's murmur was a wave of disbelief. "Interesting," Thraxus growled, recovering his stance. "You have some skill, but one defensive movement changes nothing." He attacked again, this time with calculated precision. His 4 arms worked in concert, creating a web of plasma-edged death that no single-bladed opponent should be able to counter. Each strike was timed perfectly, each angle calculated to compensate for the others. The second strike came. Chen Wei didn't retreat. Instead, she advanced, her katana becoming a blur of controlled motion. She didn't block, she deflected, parried, and redirected. Each movement was economy itself, wasting no energy, no motion. The blade seemed to know where Thraxus's weapons would be before they arrived, meeting them at precise angles that sent them sliding harmlessly away. And then, in the space between heartbeats, she struck. The katana's edge found the gap in Thraxus's exoskeleton just below his primary right shoulder. The cut was shallow. Chen Wei had pulled the blow, but unmistakable. Green ichor welled from the wound and the arena fell into shocked silence. No one had wounded Thraxus in 73 consecutive duels. The commander stepped back, his 4 eyes fixed on the human. "What? What manner of combat is this?" "It's called Kenjutsu," Chen Wei replied quietly. "And you're very fortunate we're in a diplomatic arena rather than a battlefield." Thraxus's pride warred with his tactical assessment. He had assumed the human would be slow, clumsy, emotional. Instead, she was none of those things. Every movement was deliberate. Every strike was controlled. There was no wasted aggression, no showboating, only perfect. Refined technique. Again, he demanded, raising his weapons. The third strike came. This time, Thraxus fought with the full extent of his ability. He activated his combat enhancement implants, pushing his reflexes to superhuman levels. His 4 blades moved faster than most species could perceive, creating what appeared to be solid walls of lethal energy. Chen Wei met him in the center of the arena. What happened next would be analyzed by military scholars across 100 worlds for years to come. The human moved through Thraxus's defenses like water flowing around stone. Her katana was everywhere at once, deflecting strikes with the flat, redirecting others with the spine, using circular movements that turned the Kaldreth's strength against him. And then she struck again. This time, the katana found 3 points in rapid succession: a touch against Thraxus's throat, a tap against his primary heart, and a gentle press against the nerve cluster that controlled his lower arms. Each could have been a killing blow. Each was instead a demonstration of absolute control. Thraxus froze. His weapons powered down. Slowly, with great dignity, he lowered all 4 arms and bowed his head. I yield. The arena was absolutely silent. Chen Wei sheathed her katana with a smooth, practiced motion. When she spoke, her voice carried across the entire chamber. Humanity may be young in the Galactic Council, but we are not young in the ways of war. We have studied combat for 10,000 years. We have refined it, elevated it, and understood that true strength lies not in force but in discipline, in technique, in the wisdom to know when to strike and when to show mercy. She turned to face the assembled delegates, her expression calm but her words carrying the weight of her entire species. We came to the stars not to conquer, but to learn and to share. But do not mistake our diplomacy for weakness. Do not mistake our preference for peace as inability to wage war. We are human. We have survived ice ages and plagues, world wars, and near extinctions, and we have emerged from all of it with our humanity intact. The silence stretched for a long moment. Then slowly Thraxus began to click his mandibles together, the Kaldreth gesture of ultimate respect. One by one, the other species joined in with their own signs of acknowledgement. The mocking laughter had been replaced by something far more valuable: respect. Chen Wei allowed herself a small smile as she walked from the arena. The katana at her side was just a tool after all. The real weapon had always been the countless hours of training, the discipline passed down through generations, and the indomitable human spirit that refused to yield. The galaxy had learned an important lesson that day. Never underestimate the species that had turned the art of war into a path toward peace.